Hello students, good morning all of you. Today I Ravindra Mohan Mishra from Sri Jagdamba Sanskrit College Batho am taking the class of Shastri 2nd. In this day we are learning explanation from the play The Merchant of Venice. The writing of explanation from this play is not so easy because there are so many important lines from this drama, but I have selected very important lines from this drama so that we are benefited from this. We have learnt earlier explanation from act first and second of different scenes such as 1, 2, 3 of act first and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 scene from act second. Today we see the explanation from Act 2, Scene 6. First paragraph for today's explanation is: all things that are aired with more spirit chased than enjoyed, how, like a younker or a prodigal, the scarfed bark puts forth from her native, by hugged and embraced by the strumpet wind. How, like a prodigal, does she return, with over-withered ribs and ragged sails, lean, rent, and beggared by the stumped wind. These lines have been taken from the play The Merchant of Venice. These lines are written by William Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a great dramatist. He was certainly one of the most successful writers of his time. These lines are from Act 2 of Scene 6 of the play The Merchant of Venice. In these lines bring to light Lorenzo's companion's feeling on Lorenzo's unpunctuality. Here, the reader or viewer comment upon his diminishing order for Jessica. Celerio insinuates that his order has cooled down now that Jessica is his own. Next paragraph. In these above lines, Gracino here gives a full choice of illustration to prove that there is more pleasure in seeking than in actual enjoyment. The novelty of thing wears out through use. Our pleasure is greater in seeking an object. Therefore, courtship period is more pleasant than married life. It means that the pursuit of any desired object is more enjoyable a task and gives more joy compared to the pleasure one gets on its attainment. The truth of a statement is brought about by the example of different ships. A ship with its sails spread and flag flying sails out from the harbor like a high-spirited, splendid thrift youth in search of pleasure, but after being tossed about and hugged by the rough wind, it comes back to the port with broken planks and torn sails. It looks like the returning of the prodigal son ruined by the father Gales. These remarks about the returning and back of the person when he or she is defeated in course of their life. These lines makes use of us be conscious and care in our attitudes. Here Lorenzo shows his potential and his courage about his well-wishers. In short, we conclude that these lines teaches us that we should be always straightforward in our life. Again, it reminds us that we should be free and frank. Now we come on the next paragraph. Who riseth from a feast with that keen appetite that he sits down? Where is the horse that doth untreat again his tears with the unabated fire that he did pace them first? These lines have been taken from the play The Merchant of Venice. These lines are written by William Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a great dramatist. He was certainly one of the most successful writers of his time. These lines are taken from Act 2, Scene 6 of the play The Merchant of Venice. Here, Gracino and Celerio are waiting for Lorenzo, who was to come at a certain hour but is late. Gracino explains this delay by saying that in all matters one is full of enthusiasm only till the time of fulfillment, and that one's desires cools down afterward. In these above line, one may be hungry like a hawk when sitting to meal, but after the meal one feels fully satisfied. A horse fresh from the stable will show fire and energy and speed, but during the return journey he shows a complete lack of willingness to return to run fast. A man shows more enthusiasm in the spirit of a pleasure than its enjoyment. Just as a ship leaves its native harbor with flags and other decorations, the wind seems very favorable and plays with the sail of the ship. In other words, the sails are filled with the wind which drives the ship forward. The same ship on its return has a well-beaten appearance because during its voyage the faithless wind plays false and damages its sail as well as its framework. This ship may be compared to a prodigal who leaves home and returns to it after a period of dissipation in a state of financial and moral bankruptcy. Thus, in short, we conclude that these lines teaches us that the two friends were waiting for Lorenzo, who has to come to this place where Jessica will join him. But unfortunately, Lorenzo is late. That is why Gracino remarks that a man feels more pleasure in the pursuit of an object than its in achievement. Now come on the third stanza. What must I hold a candle to my shame? They in themselves good should are to light. Why is an office of discovery love, and I should be obscured? These lines have been taken from the play The Merchant of Venice. These lines are written by William Shakespeare. Shakespeare was a great dramatist. He was certainly one of the most successful writers of his time. These lines are spoken by Jessica in Act 2, Scene 6 of the play Merchant of Venice. Jessica here is secretly running away with Lorenzo. She ought to be kept concealed so that no one should get any trace of her. Paragraph change. In these above lines contain Jessica's womanly and becoming reply to the suggestion of Lorenzo that she, in the wise days, should be his torch bearer. This was too much for her womanly nature. It is enough that she has put a wise days, but she could not be expected to display her own shamelessness by being Lorenzo's torchbearer. Jessica is eloping with Lorenzo. He has just told her, "You must be my torchbearer." These lines are her reply. She is saying, "Do I really have to carry a light so that everybody can see me in this shameful hard situation?" Disgusted as a boy, stealing away from my father's house. His behavior is already too light. She should not be condemned for exploring love and its virtue. A torchbearer's job is to make things visible, easy to discover, but it is in vain. In short, we conclude that this line teaches us that love is blind. Love does not see any boundary and barrier in anyone's life.